In this video, I'll be showing you how to create a simple agency CRM in Notion from scratch. I'm going to be sharing my screen and showing you step by step so you can follow along. By the end of this video, you will have a contacts, companies, and deals database and a deal pipeline for each of your deals, their expected value, and any of the tasks and notes you might need to track. A more sophisticated version of this CRM is also included in my premium template Notion for Agencies. Notion for Agencies is a comprehensive agency system trusted by over 200 different agencies. Not only does it include what we'll be building today, it also has a robust company wiki, a content dashboard, a client project and portal, a planning dashboard to track OKRs, KPIs, as well as a hiring dashboard. So if you want a complete agency system that you can download with a click of a button, you can check out the link in the description below. And you can use the checkout code agency2024 to get 50% off at checkout. That being said, if you want to get your hands dirty, that is what the rest of this video is about. So let's dive in. Part 1, build. So over on Notion, we're going to be building our simple agency CRM in this page here. One thing I want to draw your attention to is the fact that I've put this in my Sandpit team space. And so if you saw my previous build with me session, you'll notice that I like to create this Sandpit area. And basically this means that you can build out new solutions in Notion and perfect them before introducing them to the team in your general team space where everyone will have access to them. Now, to begin building this agency CRM, I'm actually going to go over to the simple agency setup that we made in that previous video. And we've already got a lot of the components here that we'll need for the CRM. And so I'm actually going to take these databases and put them into the CRM. So I'm just going to drag and drop them here. And then I'm going to talk about how to basically use these. So first of all, the client projects database could actually become the CRM as well. And all we need to do is add some statuses to this section here. Now you'll notice we have a discovery section. So this was already kind of acting a little bit like a CRM, but we can add a few more stages here. So for example, we might add a lead stage. We might have a proposal stage. We might have a negotiation stage. So any of the stages inside of your own sales process, you can add here. And I'm just going to reconfigure this to look a little bit like this. And so the idea of this is that once we add them to the lead stage, we can track them through this sales process. And then once they have been accepted or we've closed them, then all we need to do is drag them into this next status of onboarding. And then this entire page will act as the sort of project management part, as well as being the CRM earlier on. So that's what we need to do for the client projects. And then what I'm also going to do for the meetings is I'm just going to rename this to comms. And so this is actually going to act as a database for all of our meetings, but it can also be for our calls, and it also could be for our emails. So I'm going to adapt to that. What I could also do is add some templates for each of those different type properties here. And also in the type property here, I could add calls and emails. So I'm actually going to do that. I'm going to add calls, emails, like so. So that's all we need to do in terms of customizing these pages. And then the next thing I'm going to do is add some new databases. So we need a contacts database and we need a companies database. So I'm just going to do /page, do contacts, and turn this into a table. This is a new table. I'm going to just remove all of the rows and the tags that it's given me automatically. And I'm going to add a contacts icon that looks good. And then we're going to do the same for companies, /page, write out companies. We're going to choose table from the get started option, and we're just going to remove each of these options. So now we've done this, we're going to want to integrate these together and add the properties. So let me just add an icon here. So for the companies, I want to think about the information I want to actually collect about companies and that I want to have inside of my system. And you also might want to think about where you're going to be collecting this information and if it can be collected automatically. So for me personally, I use Calendly for my discovery bookings, and in the questionnaire section, I ask questions about their company and the size and things like that. And so I can have that automatically put into Notion using Make. And so the information I like to track is simply the link to their website. So I can do that as a URL. and I'm just going to call this website. And that is pretty much it. That's all the information I want to collect about their company. As I said, other things that you might consider collecting is whether they are, what's the size of their company. Maybe you've collected data about their monthly recurring revenue, things like that. You can add here so you have it again in your system. For the contacts, the thing that I like to track is simply their email, and we can use this email property here to collect their email. You might also consider collecting their phone number, things like that. But generally, I just talk to people using email, so I don't need to collect anything else. The next thing I'm going to do is relate these to each other, and I'm also going to relate them to the client projects. So I'm going to hit a new property here, find relation, and first of all, I'm going to add this contacts to the company's database, as they are going to live inside of the companies, of course. So I'm just going to put companies. Yeah, that's fine. And I don't need to show this as on the companies. I can just do it as a one-way relationship. So we can add that relation here. And then I'm also going to add the relation to the client projects database. So find the client projects database. And I actually want this to be a two-way relationship, which I'll explain in a second. So we've got companies and client projects. And for the companies, we want to relate this just to the client project. So relation, client project, simple agency CRM, and then we're going to do a two-way relation and companies on this side as well. So there we go. So that's what we need to do in terms of the properties. And then I can actually start building out the actual simple CRM page itself to give myself a bit more context of how this is all going to look. So I'm just going to take this into a toggle and say that this is our databases, and then I'm going to create some linked views so I can better visualize what this CRM will look like. So we're going to create this page as a full width page, and then the first thing I'm going to do is create a title, and this is going to be my deals pipeline. And so in here I'm going to do /linked, and I'm going to find that client projects page, and here it is. And then I'm going to choose the by status view that's already been created in the master database, but we're going to slightly adapt this. So let's hide the database. And then in the groupings, what we want to do is just show those statuses that are relevant for our sales team. So that would be everything except from delivery, onboarding, and these statuses here. So we want lead, we want discovery, negotiation, or proposal negotiation. And these are the statuses that track us through the sales pipeline. So that looks good to me. The next thing I want to do is adjust these properties that we're seeing here. So I'm going to come to properties here, and I don't need lead, and I probably don't need dates, and I probably don't need completion. What would be useful for me to see is the companies. So I'm going to just rename this so I have the icon sorted out. And also I might add an additional property to here that says close date or expected close. And so we'll have these showing here. And then the other thing I might also consider is adding another person property, and that would be my salesperson. And we can drag this up here, and we'll move this here like so. And I'm going to show this always show. Actually, no, I'm going to keep that as hide when empty, and the same for companies and contacts, hide when empty, so that's great, and we can hide like this. And so over on the properties, like so, I want to show the salesperson, I want to show the contacts, the companies, and the expected close. And so now if I create a new project here, it's going to give me the option to add the salesperson. Let's say it's myself. Add who the contact is. Let's say it's someone called James. Add the companies. Let's say the company is ABC Co. And then I could also even add in the expected close of this particular lead. And so now I have all of that relevant information for my agency CRM. So we've built that out. The next thing I want to do is take a look at the client project template and to see what's inside of here. So you can see we have about this project, we have tasks in here, and then we have meetings and we have docs. So the only thing I'm going to change here is, again, changing this to comms, and I'm going to bring in that type property. So we've got the type property there, that's great. We don't need to see the projects. And I'm just going to bring this type property closer here because that'll be relevant. And I think this is enough for us in terms of what we are trying to achieve. And in the workflow section, the second section of this video, I'll show you how to use the comment section to add notes as you're doing sort of general sales outreach. The other thing I want to do is just change or create a new view. This table view I prefer for when we're using it for sales. So I'm just going to bring this in here like so, and that looks good to me. So we've adjusted that template. And then the other thing that I want to do is go to the databases and go to the contacts and companies and create some templates for these as well. So I'm going to come up to here, give this the same icon as it has for the name, and client projects, we're going to give this the same, I think that was actually a target, like so. Companies, city here, and then we have their email. And so inside of the contacts page, I think actually we'll keep this blank, that's fine. And then we can apply that template to James just to give him the icon. And then for the companies, again, this is all partly for aesthetic, but for the companies, I think we'll actually create some linked views in here. And so I'm going to do linked view, and we're going to find the contacts database, new table view, and done. And we're going to filter this contacts database to just show for this particular company. So this is a self-referential filter we're using that basically means that when you generate a new template in this database, it's going to apply the template and filter it to that page that's just been created, which I'll show you how it works in 1 second. So we're going to hide the views that we don't need. And now we have the contacts in here. So that's helpful for us to see who is inside of this company. And then the other thing that would be probably helpful to see is what projects this particular company has had with us. So I'm going to do client projects / linked. And then I'm going to find the client projects database, and I'm going to do a new table view, hit done. I'm going to find a filter, and then for companies, I'm going to relate it again, self-referential filter to this particular template, and save that. And we're going to hide this. And now we have the company sorted out. We can hide the view, hide a lot of these properties to be honest. And we might just have expected close, the actual date that it happened, who was the sales lead, and the status of this particular project. And that will give us a nice overview of how this project is doing. So now we have the contacts and the client projects. And I'm noticing I have a two-way relation to the client projects here. It doesn't look like I probably need that, but in fact, I will use that in a second. Sort of talking out loud here, and I'm going to do a divider here. So now, if I go back to ABC company, what you'll notice if when I generate this template, it should give us the contacts, and we have James inside of here in this sort of company logbook. And then I also can see the client projects inside of here, and all the client projects that we're working with this company on or have in the past. So those are the two templates, or the three templates that we needed to create. And we have created our deals pipeline. The other thing I'm going to create here is a list of our companies and contacts. And I'm going to do companies first, / linked. And I'm going to find the company's database, new table view, and hit done. And then what we can actually do is with the client projects, we can now create a roll-up. And a roll-up is essentially when you have a relation in your database. So like here, I have a client projects relation, and then it's going to pull from that relation and find properties from each of the pages. So if I say we're looking for the deal statuses, I can come to the relation, it's client projects. I can then within the client projects database, pull in any of these properties. So I'm going to pull in the status, and I can show the original. And so as you can see, the ABC Co company database, the status is set to lead. And so this is pulling in that lead property. If we were to change this to discovery, you will notice it changes this to discovery. Now, the reason I'm doing this, and I'm going to hide both of these sections here, is now I can create some filters. So first of all, I might have this view be all, so all companies that we're got in our system. I'm going to give this a stack icon, and I'm just going to sort this by the name of the company. But then we can also create a second view, and I'm duplicating from the view here to speed things up. And I could call this leads. And I'm just going to change this icon here. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to filter and say if the deal status is lead, discovery, proposal, or negotiation, then we would consider them a lead. And so they are currently in the leads section of this filtering. And this is if any of the deal statuses is set to this. So for example, if you had a company that you've finished work with and then you're thinking about another engagement, a second engagement, then they would also be in leads again. So we have this leads view, and then also what we can do, again, going to duplicate the view to speed this up for me, is customers. And so customers, we're going to use this filter, and instead of saying any is lead, we're going to say any is onboarding, delivery, offboarding completed, or archived. So this essentially means that any of the customers where we've had a project, or any of the companies where we've had a client project with them that has been marked as complete, or we're currently doing it, it's going to find its way in this customers section. And so now within the companies section here, we have all of our leads, all of our customers separated. And so we can quickly click through and find the companies that we need to find. And then finally, for contacts, we're going to do /linked, and we're going to bring in the contacts database in the Simple Agency CRM, new table view, hit done, and we're going to do a similar thing that we've just done from the above. So we don't need to see all of this. I literally just want to see their company and their email. And for this first view, we're just sorting by name because this is our all view. I'm going to make this a stack. And then we want to duplicate this all view, and we're going to, again, use the same terminology. We have our leads, and we're filtering to say the deal status. And sorry, we need to create that roll up. So let's come in here and do roll up, deal status, client projects, status, show original, hide this here, and filter deal status. Any is lead, discovery, proposal, negotiation. Save for everyone. And you can see James has been put into our leads because he's with a client project at the moment that is working with this. And then we're also going to duplicate this, and we're going to do customers, filter, deal status is, and we're going to do onboarding, delivery, offboarding completed, or archived. And so now we have our contacts and our companies, and we have these difference between the leads and the customers. And so we can sort of, if we're doing cold outreach or thinking about a leads list, we could add them to the company section first, and they'll be in that section. So this is how we can create this page, and essentially, it's separated by deals pipeline, companies, and contacts. The final thing I wanted to add that I forgot to add is expected value. So I'm going to add a number property here, call it expected value. And we can add this in just about here. And again, we're going to show this only when it's empty, it won't get shown. And then in the property section, we can add this expected value here. And what we can do is essentially in this number property, we can count, or more options, sum the expected value. And let's actually make this expected value a US dollar property. And so now we have this here. When we add that ABC code to our lead status, we can add the expected value of this particular deal. So let's say it was $10,000 or $20,000. And so you'll notice it now has in the lead section an expected value at this stage of $20,000. And so if we had this Acme Co project and this was $10,000, what you'll notice here is if I was to drag the ABC Co into Discovery, we can now see we have a sum total of $30,000 in our discovery stage. And so this really helps the sales team sort of prioritize the stages and see, oh, we have this forecasted. If we just close these two deals and if we get them across the line, this is how much value we have there to win. So now I want to walk you through the next step, which is our workflow. Part 2, workflow. So here is how you could actually use a pretty basic agency CRM to optimize your sales process. So first of all, let's say that you've had a lead who you think would be interested in one of your services. Again, we're going to come to the deals pipeline and capture them in here. Or again, this might be done automatically if you have some sort of automation with Make or Zapier to do this. So we're going to hit new. Let's say this is Acme Co. And we're going to add all of these details. So the salesperson working on this, the contact of this person, let's say it's John Smith. We're going to add the company, which is Acme Co. I'm just noticing that the templates we created haven't been set to default. So I'm just going to set these to default down here and set to default for companies. And let me just come in and apply the templates for these particular entries I just added. And now we've done that, we can add the expected close. Let's say it's for sometime at the end of the month. And then we can also add the expected value. Let's say this is a big deal of 30,000. So now we've added them to this deals pipeline. Here is the sort of workflow that you can go through. So let's say you reach out to them by email. You might open up this side peak value option. And in here, you can add the actual email you had that's sent to them in the comms section here. So it might be cold outreach email, and the event time has been set to today automatically. And let's say the type was emails. And then inside of here, you can write any write-up about what the email said or what you spoke about. And so that's now been logged in this database. Once you've done that, you then also might create a task for yourself and essentially say, follow up with John next week. And you can add yourself as the lead in here and add the due date for next Wednesday. And so now you've created that. When you go back to your simple agency CRM and you look at your list of tasks, you will come to next Wednesday and it will say you need to follow up with John. And so you'll know to do that. So you can come in here, you can check this off and follow up with John in whatever capacity that is. And then it might be that you sent an email and you've managed to book on a call. So you can log the email that you had, and then you also might add in here that you're going to be having a call next week, and it might be a discovery call. And so now you've checked off this task, and the next task you would have would be to host discovery call. And you can go through and now bring John into the discovery section. And so this is the kind of workflow where you go through and essentially at each stage, you're going to create a task, or you're going to log what you last spoke about with this person. And then you're going to create a task to follow up with them. And then when that task comes around, you will complete that. You'll log what you spoke about and then create a task to follow up. So essentially just a cyclical process here where you're logging what you spoke about with the lead, and then you're creating a task to follow up with them. And then by the time that task comes around, you're then going and doing the thing, logging what you spoke about and creating a task to continue the sales process. And just by using something quite simple inside of Notion, you're able to really optimize your sales team. So that's everything. If you've been following along, you should now have a simple agency CRM built inside of your Notion and know how to actually use it in terms of workflow. If you didn't follow along with us and you watched this eating a bowl of popcorn, you can actually download my Notion for Agencies template with the link in the video below, and that will be a fully fledged template ready for you to download. If you want to see a tour of the Notion for Agencies template, you can check out the video over here or here. And if you found this video useful, please do consider giving it a like and subscribing to the channel. Until next time, bye-bye.